Good morning. Let's get ready for the math lesson for today. You're going to be using an advanced math task that is going to have you use everything that you've learned in Unit 3 and apply it to the tasks that you're going to have here. Now, you're going to be following along with the video. When I'm explaining something to you, I expect you to have your pencils down and be listening. When I tell you you need to now write down your thoughts or answer this, then I expect you to have your pencil in your hand and to be working. Unless I say, turn to your partner and talk, you are not having a conversation with people at your table. Okay, so let's get going. And again, you'll be following along with this math video to complete the advanced tasks for you for Unit 3, or for most of Unit 3. These are not all the tasks. It's the ones that I feel you should be able to complete by following along with this video in today's math period. If the video asks you to talk to your partner, then your conversation should be only about the math. If you are not prompted to talk about the math, you are quiet. If you have a question, raise your hand. And yes, there's a typo there, I know. Do not decide you need to ask someone a question without permission. If you are not following directions, your name will be written down for not listening, not following directions, and you will have 2 days of lunch detention. So that would be Monday and Tuesday of next week. Lunch detention for not listening to a substitute teacher means I walk you to the cafeteria, you get cafeteria food, you do not go to the snack bar, you come back and you write reflections about the choices you made, why they were a problem, and how you're going to fix them. And you are working for the rest of the lunch period. This is not a 5 or 10 minute lunch detention. You are choosing to give up your lunch period and your time with your friends because you felt it was more important not to follow directions when the substitute is talking to you. So please choose wisely. My hope and expectation is that there will be no names left at all. So remember, be safe, respectful, and responsible. So now, looking at, let me pause here for a moment. If you have not received your packet yet, the substitute will pass these packets out to you. Make sure you put your name at the top. No name and you're working for free. I'm not going to try and figure out who you are. As soon as you get your packet, write your name, first and last name, in the upper right-hand corner of the paper. Okay, and I'll wait just a moment in case you haven't gotten it yet for you to be able to have received your papers. Okay, by now everyone should have their papers and written their name at the top. So this first one is a writing prompt, and we've done one of these before. So let's look at the directions. Read and solve. Write at least 2 sentences to explain. 2 sentences. There should be at least 2, if not more. And this is what you need to explain. Earlier this year, Lucy learned to show rational numbers. Remember, rational numbers are positive or negative numbers, fractions, or decimals. So Lucy learned to show rational numbers on both a horizontal and vertical number line. When we first started using the number lines, we used a vertical number line, and we used this to show distance or elevation, and we also used it to show temperature, above 0 and below 0. And then we also used a horizontal number line. Well, if you look at the coordinate plane, you have a vertical number line and you have a horizontal number line. So think about what you did when you were plotting numbers on a vertical or a horizontal number line. And what you're going to do is explain how Lucy's understanding of a horizontal number line and a vertical number line can help her understand how to use a coordinate grid. Some of what I should see in your explanation is if you're using a coordinate grid, you have coordinate points. You have an x coordinate and you have a y coordinate. And you also need to remember you're going to plot x first and y second. So in your explanation, you need to include where you would find your x. Where are you going to look for? Remember, you've got positive numbers to the right, negative numbers to the left. And when you want to plot your y, you're looking at your vertical number line. Positive numbers above 0, negative numbers below 0. Keeping in mind that I expect to see in your writing coordinate points, x, which goes on the horizontal number line, and y, which goes on the vertical number line. And how understanding how to use these two number lines first helped you to be successful with writing or with using a coordinate grid. You're going to pause the video here, and I'm going to allow you to take 5 minutes to write your 2 sentences. Make sure they completely explain everything that you need to remember, how numbers move on a horizontal number line and on a vertical number line, and the coordinate points, which comes first, which comes second. So pause the video here, 5 minutes, and then we're going to go on to the next part of your task. Ready? Begin. Okay, so your 5 minutes are up, and you should have your 2 sentences written. Remember, I do not take off for spelling, so if you did not spell something correctly, I really don't care. I need to be able to figure out what you are saying, and if it's misspelled, it's very likely that I will be able to figure it out. So don't worry about spelling, but you do need to make sure you have complete sentences. I'm not taking phrases, and I'm not taking something with just 1 or 2 words. Complete sentences. Okay, moving on to part B. And here's another writing prompt. Allison's garden plants. Read and solve. Again, write at least 2 sentences to explain. Allison wants to create a rectangular garden in her backyard. She will plan it out on a coordinate plane. Remember, a coordinate plane is a grid that has your 4 quadrants and has your horizontal number line, which is your x-axis, and your vertical number line, which is your y-axis. So Allison wants to create a rectangular garden in her backyard. She will plan it out on a coordinate plane. Give at least 2 advantages of using a coordinate plane to plan the garden. 2 advantages. Why would this be a good idea to use this? One thing you might want to think about is room or space needed. Something else you might want to think about is the size of her garden. Okay, and if she uses the coordinate plane to show her full garden. And if she is planning it out on a coordinate plane, she should also be able to make changes because she hasn't done anything yet. So those are just some ideas. Again, you're going to be writing 2 sentences. I have some ideas listed here. I'm sure you can come up with other ideas. That would be really good ideas. And again, I'm going to give you 5 minutes because you need to think about what you want to say and then write your 2 sentences. Once again, let me remind you, you are not collaborating or talking with someone else. These are your ideas that I want, not another person's idea. So 5 minutes, think first what you want to say, and then write your 2 sentences, giving at least 2 advantages. You can give more, but you have to have at least 2. Pause the video here, begin writing, and we'll check back in 5 minutes. Okay? Now, this part is called always, sometimes, or never. Now, with these statements here, you are going to begin thinking about them yourself, and then you are going to be able to talk with the person next to you about if you think it's possible, or if it's sometimes true, always true, or never true. So let's look at the first, and remember, you also need to give an explanation or examples to support your answer. You might want to also draw a coordinate plane, or there is one of the posters on the board of the coordinate plane. So you might want to locate that and where quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4 are, and the point values in each quadrant. So again, either refer up to the poster, or if you want to sketch this out quickly so you can refer to it. And the first statement, a point in quadrant 1 reflected over both axes will be in quadrant 3. Think about what reflecting a point means. There are also other posters up that talk about reflection over one axis or over 2 axes. So is this always true, sometimes true, or never true? And then give an explanation or an example. You have 1 minute. Turn to your partner. Talk with your partner. What do you think? Is it always, sometimes, or never true that a point in quadrant 1 can be reflected over both axes and will be in quadrant 3? And remember to give an example. So pause the video here, 1 minute to discuss, and then record your answers. Go. Okay, so what are you going to say for the first one? Is it always true, sometimes true, or never true? And if you said that it was always true, that you would have a point. In quadrant 1, that would be reflected. In quadrant 3, you are correct. Okay, and remember, quadrant 1, your points are positive, x is positive, y is positive. And in quadrant 3, x is negative, y is negative. Now, let's go to the second one. When 2 points on a coordinate plane form a horizontal line, remember horizontal is side to side, add the absolute value of the x values of each endpoint to find the length of the line. Is that always true, sometimes true, or never true? Again, you want to refer to the coordinate grid and think about what we did in finding the distance. Finding the length would be the same thing as finding the distance. Okay? So take about 30 seconds to think about this on your own. And then you're going to have 1 minute to discuss it and indicate what your answers are. So you're going to pause for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Go. Okay. Well, always true would not be the case in this point. Sometimes true would be the better answer. If you want to find the length of a horizontal line with endpoints that are in different quadrants, the absolute value of the x value of each endpoint is added. But if they're in the same quadrant, they're subtracted. So this is the key here. Different quadrants, you're going to add them, but if they're not in the same, if they're not in different quadrants, you're not going to add, you're going to subtract. So hopefully you caught that and you were able to explain different quadrants, add, same, and it's going to be really weird trying to type this. So write it. So I'm not going to bother. Different quadrants you add, same quadrants you subtract. So now, taking a look at 3, the scale of, and actually we have not done anything with scale. We have not talked about scale. So put an X through 3. You're not going to be doing that one. Okay? Just put an X through that. Now, let's look at 4. The distance of each point plotted on a coordinate grid is measured from the origin. When you're going to plot X or Y, you always start where? And then think about this statement, and you're going to decide if it's always, sometimes, or never. Okay, so 30 seconds to think what your answer should be, and then 1 minute to talk with your partner and complete item 4. So pause here and check back in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Go. Okay? So let's think about what your answer should have been for this. The distance of each point plotted on a coordinate grid is measured from the origin. Well, when you first started plotting numbers, one of the first steps we used is begin at the point of origin and move from there. Start at the point of origin, which is where x is 0 and y is 0. So this is an always statement. Okay, so now let's go to the next section. And here, list the number of each sometimes statements. Rewrite it so it is always or never true. Tell whether it is always or never true. Give an explanation or examples to support your answer. Draw horizontal lines to separate each statement. So remember, you're going to start with your number of sometimes statements. We skipped number 3, so looking at 1, 2, and 4. How many sometimes statements did you have? And give examples. How could you rewrite it so that it always, or never true? And then give examples. And draw a line, and then you're going to look to see if you have another sometimes statement that you can rewrite. You're going to need to be doing some thinking about how you could make that sometimes statement true. So you're going to have 5 minutes to go back and look at which statements did you mark as sometimes, and how could you change it so that it's either always true or never true. Again, the conversation that you're having with this is about this math task. You have 5 minutes to discuss and write out your answers, not just 5 minutes for talking. Discuss and write out your answers. Get ready, pause the video here, and begin. Okay, so let's take a look at what a rewritten statement could look like. So to find the value, or to find the length, not the value, of a horizontal line, you need to reduce the size too. With endpoints that are in different quadrants, the absolute value of the x value, or the x coordinate, is added because the y values are the same. So the x values are used. Okay, That is an always true statement. So this is going to be always. And an example, if you had coordinate points of -7, comma, 2, and -7, comma, -1, your x values are the same. So you're going to use the absolute value of 2 plus the absolute value of -1. The absolute value of 2 is 2. The absolute value of -1 is 1. 2 plus 1 equals 3. So that is, or 3 units. That is a true statement. That will always be a true statement. Okay? So take a look at what you had for an answer. Let me separate this out here a little bit. And if you need to make any corrections, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds. You are not talking during this time. You are looking at your answer and looking to see if you need to change or revise anything. Okay? So now, we're to the practice performance task, hiking in the great outdoors. And Max is an avid hiker. He is at Elephant Rock Mountain and sets out on a sightseeing adventure. Read the passages and answer the questions. For questions 1, 2, and 3, represent the locations Max stops on, or stops at. It should be on this coordinate grid. So I'm looking at this coordinate grid here, and I'm noticing that there are no numbers. There's no XY axis. There's nothing indicated. So that is going to have to be your first task. You need to complete your coordinate grid, and you are going to have, let's see, you're going to need to create your coordinate grid, and then when you read the task, you're going to have some different sites or some different areas that you need to plot on the map. So I'm going to have you take 9 minutes to complete this. You really do not have a reason to sit there and talk for 9 minutes. If you need a ruler or you would like a ruler, put your hand up and ask the substitute if he could please give you a ruler. Amity in period 2 and Fatima in period 3 and Fatima in period 4. If the substitute is not sure where the rulers are, I want you to point it out to the substitute. Okay? And 9 minutes, pause the video here. 9 minutes to complete creating your grid and then plotting the points that you have for this task. Ready? Go. Okay, so let's check and see how you did first. You need to create a coordinate grid. I am not counting how many lines there are here. You probably did that first, but I'm just drawing. Here's my X, here's my Y, and you need to number these, and you have some points that are less than a whole number. So you needed to figure out where you would put your points. And we did something like this yesterday. There's your point of origin. And you need half points. So I'm going to skip one, skip, 2, skip, 3, skip, 4, skip, 5. Hopefully I don't have to go further than 5. And going the other way, skip, -1, skip, -2, skip, -3, skip, -4, skip, -5. And going up, I'm going to do the same thing. Skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, skip 4, skip 5. Going down, same thing. Skip, -1, skip, -2, skip, -3, skip, -4, skip, -5. And let me get my packet back out here so I can see the points that you're being given. And we have Max starts out from camp at point -2, 2. So -2 and 2. And this is where he starts. Or this is his camp. Okay? And he heads east to the trail point at -1.52. Well, hopefully you notice there's a compass here. And if he's here, east is going to be going to the right. And he's going to go to -1.5 and 2. Well, there's -2. Here's -1.5 and 2. And at the trailhead sign, you see that each of these sites is located from that point, from this point here. The plot each of these locations on the grid map. Label each point with the name of the attraction and the ordered pair. So I'm going to take a look at Blue Lake. I'm going to be going from here. Blue Lake is 4.25 miles south. So I'm going to have to come from this point. I'm going to have to go south and go south 4 and 25 hundredths or a quarter of a point. So that is going to put me down right about here. And this is Blue Lake. Okay, your points are negative 1.5, comma, negative 2.25. Okay, now, Elephant Rock viewpoint is going to be 2 miles east. So Elephant Rock viewpoint from here is going to be 2 miles east. So that's going to put me at right here. And this is Elephant Rock. And this is going to be your coordinate points are 0.5, comma, 2. Okay, and then you want Rainbow Falls, 3.75 or 3 3/4 miles east. So I'm going to go from here 3.7 miles east, and that's going to end up at 2 point, oh, it's going to be, if this is 2.5, this is going to be 2.25, and x is 2.25, y is 2. So this over here is Rainbow Falls. Okay, and your points are 2.25, comma, 2. And you have, I believe, one more that you need to indicate. The old sawmill. However, I'm not seeing it on this packet here. So I'm going to fill that in for you here. And the old sawmill is going to be at 2.25, comma, 2.25. So I'm going to come down to here. And this is the old sawmill. Okay, and I believe we're probably running out of time by now. So I'm going to have you stop here. Again, make sure your name is on your packet. And the substitute is going to collect these, and I will be taking a look at them when I come back. Okay? when you have your science, remember you're going to be using the article, and this is actually on the latest Mars probe that has been sent out that we talked about a couple of days ago. Remember, when you do the reading, the substitute is going to read first, and you are following along and listening. Then you are going to silent read. Silent reading means you are not talking for any reason. And then you're going to partner read. And when you partner read, there should be talking because, oh yeah, you're reading. For today, if you are an even number, you go first. Even numbers are the A's, odd numbers are the B's when you do your partner reading. And then you're going to answer the questions silently. If there's still time at the end of the period, take out your AR book and read silently. And I will see you all on Monday. You guys have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye for now.